So we have a moderate risk for severe weather in the plains. That's 4 out of 5 on the severe weather scale. But this threat is not a slam dunk. With that said, a couple of strong tornadoes and a widespread damaging wind event will be possible Sunday evening into early Monday morning. I'm also going to have an update as to how much snow and ice could fall from the upper Midwest into the Northeast from this same system, so make sure you stick around for that. So let's get to it. We're going to start by looking upstairs at the 500 millibar wind speeds. It's the wind speed about 15 to 20,000 feet above your head. And you clearly see our negatively tilted trough that gets everything going, oriented back to the north and west. This helps to maximize the difference in temperature to really increase the instability, increase the severe weather threat. You'll also notice here this big, bright band of brown. That's a lot of Bs, but that is very strong wind at about 15 to 20,000 feet again, in excess of 120 miles an hour, just screaming through the plains. That is really going to help to get the severe weather threat rolling. Again, we have the upper level dynamics component of this severe weather potential. To get a little deeper, I'm going to bring in my friend, the SKU-T. Right off the bat, if you know severe weather, you see this photograph here looping. That indicates the potential for a few strong tornadoes. This data coming in from southwest Oklahoma, where we would be under the gun for that to happen. You see the winds out of the southeast at the surface, and then the turning of the winds with height, southwest just above the surface, continuing to be southwest several thousand feet up into the atmosphere. Also, just off the surface, a couple thousand feet up, what would drive the damaging wind threat, the widespread potential. Look at how strong the winds are at 850 millibars. It's a couple thousand feet up. Greater than 65 to 75 miles an hour, this will drive a very strong and potentially widespread damaging wind threat, because any storm that gets going, and we are expecting a lot of thunderstorms to be around, will mix down to the surface these very, very strong winds a couple of thousand feet above the ground. Now, there's one limiting factor here. We have most of the ingredients needed for a severe weather outbreak. The one limiting factor is the instability. You see the green line and the red line going to the right with height. That is the temperature warming a little bit just off the ground here. This indicates that we have stability, some stable air at the surface. Now, what this would do is act to create essentially a little bubble of protection near the surface. So when these storms get going, the strong winds that are mixed down from a couple thousand feet up could run into the stable air, and it will dampen it a little bit. There will be some resistance anyway, pushing back from the surface as those strong, potentially damaging winds get mixed down to the surface. Now, that's just one limiting factor. There are a lot of things to overcome the lack of instability, but if we don't see this widespread severe weather event materialize, this is likely going to be the reason why. I wanted to show you the high-resolution future radar to show you why we all need to be weather aware in the plains Sunday evening into early Monday morning. We get things underway at about 4 to 5 o'clock Central Time, with a few of these discrete cells popping in parts of southern Kansas, into the panhandle of Oklahoma, and then into the panhandle of Texas. Watch what happens as we get deeper into the evening. So this is going to be 6 o'clock Central. We see things quickly get in a line. Now, this is going to limit the supercell potential, at least discrete supercell potential, as we quickly get this to erupt, to explode into a line. Now, where we will have the potential for some long track tornadoes, that's as we head into the evening, right down in this area. Always at the end of a line of thunderstorms, we can still take advantage of the atmosphere and the atmospheric ingredients out ahead of the line, and we can have discrete cells here. So that is why in southwest Oklahoma and extreme north Texas, right through the Red River there, that we're going to be looking for a brief potential for a few strong tornadoes, as we can keep those cells discrete. Then this is going to transition into that widespread damaging wind threat. Here we go at 8 o'clock Central, Oklahoma City, of course, Lawton into Enid. Look at this nasty line of thunderstorms. The darker blues and whites indicating the very high intensity, the strong intensity of these thunderstorms. As we get towards 9 o'clock Central, we're closing in on Oklahoma City, again with that damaging wind threat. An isolated tornado threat still going to exist, but they're going to be more of those embedded tornadoes now, because we are completely linear in terms of the storm structure. Just look at this, though. So much heavy rain into Kansas. That strong thunderstorm potential, damaging wind gusts through Wichita into southern Kansas. This is going to move into Tulsa at around 10, 11 o'clock Central Time tonight. Still, look at this. This is at 1 o'clock Central into Kansas City, the very heavy rain. That severe weather threat extending into Joplin, into Springfield, Missouri, into Fort Smith, Arkansas, into Fayetteville, and then down also towards Little Rock. Although you see it here by 3 o'clock in the morning Central, the main severe line is starting to weaken as it moves into St. Louis, as it moves into Memphis. Still, with that said, some very, very heavy rain and the isolated potential for some damaging wind gusts is going to be there early on Monday morning. If you're finding this video helpful, please hit that thumbs up button. It really does help me out a lot. We're on to the wintry side of this storm, and you see this is 6 o'clock in the morning on Monday Central Time, and we have some ice showing up, so be on the lookout for a dicey morning commute in the Twin Cities extending back towards Eau Claire. More freezing rain showing up in this bright pink here, extending all the way back into parts of southern Michigan, which is exactly what we do not want after our big ice storm just last week. The blue showing up, indicating where we have some snow through central Michigan and then back towards the arrowhead of Minnesota. This is now going to be about 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. We still have some mixing going on from the thumb of Michigan back into Lake Michigan, northern Michigan to the UP, into northern Wisconsin, though, to the arrowhead of Minnesota. We still have some decent snow falling. Most of this wraps up by the time you wake up on Tuesday morning. That's going to be 6 o'clock in the morning Central, 7 a.m. Eastern. We're going to get to the east in a second. In terms of how much snow, it's not a ton, but a nice little snowstorm for the UP of Michigan. A widespread 3 to 6 inches of snow coming down the pipeline. About 2 to 4 from northern Wisconsin into the arrowhead of Minnesota. Isolated higher amounts are going to be possible. And then only an inch in the thumb of Michigan. A good 1 to 3 in northern Michigan. You see closer, though, to the lakes, you can be pushing about 3 to 6 inches of snow as well. Now, the ugly side of this. This ice storm is not going to be nearly as bad for Michigan as the one that we just dealt with, but of course, we don't want any more. Just a glaze in and around the Detroit area. Still, though, closer to Grand Rapids, could pick up 1/4 of an inch of ice. So that's what we're going to be looking for, the higher impacts in terms of ice closer to Lake Michigan and into central Michigan. And then really, look at this, more than 1/4 of an inch of ice is going to be possible all the way through central Wisconsin back towards the Twin Cities of Minnesota. But especially that bullseye there, north of Madison, west of Milwaukee, northwest of Milwaukee, right through central Wisconsin for that ice storm potential. We are moving east now. You see the snow starting to show up in parts of New York, around the Finger Lakes, into Buffalo, into northeast Pennsylvania. This system really starts to ramp up, though, as we get into the early morning hours of Tuesday. This is 1 a.m. on Tuesday, February 28th, and you see the snow expanding in coverage and picking up in intensity through northeast Pennsylvania. There's Philly. We miss out on this one for the most part. Into northern New Jersey, look at that. I think New York City gets in on a little bit of snow this time. This is then going to start to push its way into New England as we get deeper into Tuesday morning. So it could be a dicey morning commute in New York City. It's not a ton of snow coming your way. I think the bigger snowfall totals, relatively speaking, going to be back towards northeast Pennsylvania, into Connecticut, Rhode Island, especially inland Massachusetts, and then, of course, interior Maine from Vermont into New Hampshire, into upstate New York. We have a little tag team action going on at this stage of the game. There is our fizzling out area of low pressure. This was the main low that will bring that severe weather threat to the plains, that will bring the snow and ice threat to the upper Midwest and Great Lakes. It's transferring its energy to this developing coastal low, and that's what really helps to get the snow going into coastal areas of the Northeast, which so desperately wants snow if you are a snow lover. This is going to be 1 o'clock on Tuesday, and there we go, with more snow continuing. Our low kind of pushes out in that direction and quickly gets on out of here. So we're not talking about a long duration event by any means as we go out further, This is already Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock. We start to wind things down as the low kind of moves away from the east coast of the United States. In terms of how much snow, again, I think we can get light accumulations in New York City. In northern New Jersey, though, I do think we have the potential for 2 to 4, maybe even 3 to 6 inches of snow. Boston, I think we have a shot at 3 to 6 inches of snow. The higher snowfall totals are going to happen in interior Massachusetts and then certainly closer to upstate New York where that pinkish color shows up. That's where we could have greater than 9 inches of snow. I think all in all, a widespread 4 to 8 inches of snow is going to be possible from Vermont into New Hampshire and then into interior Maine. So it's not going to certainly be the biggest snowstorm we have ever seen. This is not going to crush us by any means, but with the lack of snow that we have felt in coastal New England and the coastal Northeast regions, I think we'll take it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this conversation, please consider subscribing, hit that thumbs up button, and we will catch you next time.